Honestly, I must say that there has never been a time in history where human beings have been so dishonest and crooked and cunning and deceptive with one another. And that's why today I'm here to talk about why I hate monogamy so much. A lot of my friends often they know about my view here. I don't like monogamy at all. But it is not because it's about sleeping around with different people. It's not about that. It's about the cunning nature that I see in these days monogamy. I think one writer that I know has put it well and has been very honest in a write-up on monogamy and the relationship dynamics is actually Esther Perel. She wrote two books, one Mating in Captivity and the other one she titled State of Affairs. Now Esther Perel talked about a whole lot of things and I'll get there. Now here's my point now. Monogamy itself, is it inherently biological to humans? No, I'm sure that it is not. Even though some people argue and say, human beings like to connect with one another. But Mokokoma Mokonohana says something. He said, if love wasn't conditional, if it wasn't probably under the condition of I have to be the only person in your life, I have to be this or that, then everybody would fall in love with everybody. And the world would be so good. However, we don't live like that. And I don't know. I'm not happy with how I see things. Now look everywhere now. In fact, when you look at song lyrics, you see most of the song lyrics that are being loved by people can tell you how much they've been hurt. You see people like songs from Billie Eilish, NF, songs that complain about heartbreaks, songs with lyrics that talk about how much they've been backstabbed, they've been betrayed, emotionally ruined. We have a lot of people walking all around now, and then they are just more like people who have lost it all. They've lost trust in human beings. They've lost the whole of their trust in human beings simply because of monogamy. You can say I'm putting the blame on a wrong system. But you show me exactly if I'm lying. Monogamy has hurt more people than even the government has hurt people. It's funny, but it's true. People are not sincere to each other. You find exes reconnecting to one another while they claim to have moved on. Yes, and then you wonder why. And at the end of the day, you find out a whole lot of hearts being broken after the disclosure of these things or after they come to light. And I'm right here on Esther Perel's book, and this book I think is called State of Affairs. And there's this statement she made. First of all, I think this statement is from David Rovics. It's from the chapter where she called Monogamy and its Discontents, and she titled Rethinking Marriage. And here's a quote from David Rovics that say, they'll say you are bad, or perhaps you are mad, or at least you should stay undercover, and that your mind must be bare if you would dare to think you can love more than one lover. I am somebody who have actually been a very free and autonomous individual. And I must tell you for real, I'm a very great friend and I'm a very wonderful companion. And it has been with more than one person. And there's never been anything wrong with it. However, I see people confine themselves, constrict themselves, and then they restrict themselves to these principles of monogamy. I get there are people that it works for. There are people that have lived by it. But how many people have? In fact, in some cases, I came to realize that most of the people that we've been shown, to serve as models and symbols of chastity and fidelity, most of these people actually are not as clean as we think they are. And that it is because most of them have not even been caught yet. And that is why we tend to think that, these people are actually symbols of monogamy. They have a very good marriage and they've been so faithful to each other until one day everything just becomes open. And then we're like, oh my goodness, this person, that is the downside of monogamy. And the expectation in monogamy is too much. Monogamy expects too much. Monogamy demands too much. I made a post one time, I think, of recently, where I said monogamy wants you to give your partner everything. How about, do you want to kill the person? That is the point. One person. Esther Perel captured it in a word where she said, we want one relationship to give us all the needs that have to do with anchoring and rooting, and a sense of belonging and continuity and stability and predictability and security and safety and the whole dimension of our life. And we still want the same person to also provide us a sense of novelty, same person to be familiar and to be new, to be comfortable and to be edgy, and to be predictable and surprising, all from one person. How is that possible? In his book titled, I think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman, something like that, from Steve Harvey, he said, to please a woman, it's going to take like 4 men. And then he gave an example to say that women need 4 men to please them in their life. An old man, a gay man, and a mandingo, which represents like a porn star, a guy who's very good sexually, and then the third one, I think he said, an ugly guy. There's a reason he made that. We understand that in a sense women are insatiable. that women are insatiable. But that's even beyond that. That's for the fact that one person cannot provide every single thing that we want. You get? He said the ugly man would walk out his ass just because he believes he doesn't deserve her. So he has to try by all means to earn his love. He said the old man is already too weak. He can't perform in bed. But yeah, he has a pension and a check. And so he's very caring and listening and will spend all of his hard-earned pension and cash on her. And then he talked about the Mandigo. He's going to have her eyes popping, having her eyes rolling up there, right into her skull, and he's going to give her the best orgasm. And then he talked about the gay guy. He's going to accompany her, go shopping, and they will gossip and have a whole lot of talks together. This four set of men, he said, can please women, and then is what he believes that women need in their life. Now, come down to it, even as men ourselves, do we only need one woman? That's the point. Because they always say men are polygamous in nature. I think it's the human thing. It's not just men or not just women. It's human thing. We like variety and we need variety. We need variety to survive. But monogamy says, you know what? We do away with variety. Or if you must have variety, you have to get it from one person. So now monogamy begins to preach these mechanistic philosophies and say, this is how you have to do. And that is where consumerism comes into place. Because consumerism now begins to advertise all of these vacations, advertise different sex techniques, new ways of how to do this. They say this is how you spark your bedroom. This is how you rekindle your relationship. This is how you do. Because monogamy has realized that it is unideal. It is so unrealistic. It has realized how unrealistic it is. And so it is trying to, when a building is not well erect, they try to put, they are trying to put a couple of pillars on the side, or maybe you're trying to get it to stand again in a way. What Hausa call patchy. You are trying to make up for the deficiency in the building. And so that is what monogamy is doing. And Esther Perel said it right here and said, in her book, she said, isn't the extent of infidelity proof enough that monogamy is simply not human nature? I mean, the questions come over and over. Today, it comes from a young woman, as she wrote, who has stepped up to the mic during a workshop. And then now the woman said, listen very carefully, wouldn't we avoid a lot of pain and suffering? The woman said, and deceit of infidelity. Wouldn't we avoid all of this if we just did away with the unnatural tyranny of monogamy? She asks, why can't we just have marriages built around consensual non-monogamy and solve the problem of cheating? And then, she sees very many heads nodding in agreement. And then a man in his 40s stands up and responds, look, I think it's fine if people just want to sleep around, but let's not pretend that's marriage. Why not just stay free and single? Real marriage means true commitment, says the man. And then another says, why does commitment have to be reserved for one person? Another man counters, we can be committed to many friends or many children. Why not many lovers, says. That's a fact. It's a very good question. He said, we can be committed to many friends, many children, but why not many lovers? You see, like the words of Dave Rovics. And then they said, it is not the same thing, argues the defender of monogamy. For the Bible says love and sex are sacred. You can't just spread them around. And then someone says, but that's what everyone is doing anyway. Is that not what everyone is doing? Esther Perel said it. We have moved from one person for life to one person at a time. Is it a lie? Now you see people with multiple exes, and then they continue to even reconnect. In fact, when you look very well, if you want to be honest with yourself, you realize that if you have actually had an encounter with somebody and the encounter was good, whether it's a man or a female, right? Whether it's from the female side or from the male side, it's a fact that you definitely reminisce on those moments sometimes again and would like to at least reconnect that particular or rekindle that affair. It happens a lot of times. That is why we hear issues of exes reconnecting back and forth. Because yes, it's just the human thing. It's variety. And one thing I've noticed is that even the monogamous relationship itself, the beginning is always exciting. It's normal. Every new relationship is exciting. New friendships are exciting until time begins to go. And then time begins to reveal a whole lot of things. When the mystery disappears, when routine sets in, and then familiarity creeps in, guess what? Everything just dies down and it becomes stale. And the freshness that was there before is no longer in existence. And then now it is just about being together for being sake, or being together because we have been together for a long time, or sometimes being together with people simply out of pity. This is how I see it, because it is what I see around. It is what I see. I see it everywhere. In fact, I have friends whom I see every single day. They are not faithful, both male and female. And then yes, it is like this is the only crime they commit, not being faithful sexually. You see, that's the side of me. And monogamy says that if you are not faithful sexually, then you have betrayed your lover. And then here comes in and the whole betrayal story. And then when you find out that your partner has been digging somebody behind you, you get emotionally ruined. You feel betrayed. Monogamy is not a fair system. I'm telling you for real, I cannot live by a monogamous system. And I feel a lot of people are trying too hard to live by it. And people, yes, maybe because of your religion, I would say, maybe people are living by their religious principles, especially Christians, and then because the Muslims are more polygamous. And so maybe that is why a whole lot of people are there. Or maybe because the Western media continues to preach it. Maybe because it's the new philosophy everywhere now, and everybody's just parroting it and going ahead with it. But in real sense, in reality, you show me if monogamy has been really, really workable and how many people. In fact, we have very few exceptions that have been able to live by the principles of monogamy than people who have broken the rules of monogamy. Now, here is where I really have I laugh at monogamy very much. I'll tell you where now. Now, if we want to, for example, venture into a particular business, let's say you have 100,000 naira, and then you meet a friend and say, man, I have 100 grand and I'm thinking of going to a particular business. He'll look at you and say, fine, how do you intend to go about this? If you by any chance tell him, I want to stake the whole 100,000 into this business, he will look at you and say, hey, no, it's not wise to put all of your eggs in one basket. So now here's what I'll advise, or here's where he advise you and say, why not try 50,000 first and see how the business goes? Then if it goes well, then you begin to pump in the rest. Good advice, a very sound and clever advice, right? In the case of monogamy, it's different. Monogamy says put all your eggs in one basket. It's like saying, I have to put my whole trust in somebody. And is this one person? This is the person I put all of my trust, my life and everything. That is the riskiest and the dumbest thing I think any human being can do. So what happens at the end of the day when they betray you? You become ruined. Just like the point I made. That is why we have a lot of people that are hot, a lot of people that are sad, a lot of people with trust issues. I must confess, honestly, because you put all of your heart, all of your trust, every single thing in one basket. And then now they've ruined it, and there you are now. But think about it. If you had options, honestly, I'm a preacher of options because I know the benefit of having options. I've seen it very well. I learned it from women though, because I see women don't really get as hot as men get. Even though women express their side than men may not express it, but you would see how men get ruined even up to their old age. And I'm surprised. In fact, sometimes I feel like adhering to the principles of monogamy and the consequence is actually a very good thing. I'll explain how. Now look at our religions. I am irreligious, right? But I look at different religions. And when you look at different religions, yes, how our religions say. They say, do not trust anybody except in God. The Muslims say only trust in Allah. The Christians only trust in Jehovah. That is how they put it, right? Our religions advise us to not put our trust in human beings. But guess what monogamy did? Monogamy came to preach the direct opposite of what our religions even instructed us. Monogamy said put your trust in a human being. I should trust a human being like me. I don't even trust myself. But now monogamy is saying, trust this person. Trust that they'll be faithful to you. Trust that no matter what, they would not succumb to temptation. Are they not human beings? What do you expect from them? Monogamy at the end of the day is now surprised, and then they now label you and then they paint you black for not living up to its own principles. That's why we start to hear things. That person is not a trustworthy person. Whereas in business, most people are actually trustworthy businessmen, people with integrity. But monogamy tries to blackmail people by saying if somebody cannot be faithful to you, then you can't trust them in business. It's a lie. It's a very big lie. Let me tell you one thing about me. I cannot guarantee that if you keep a woman or if you keep your woman with me, you would come back and meet her the way you met her. But if you leave your money with me, I am very sure I'm vouching for myself. I don't care how much you leave. I will not touch a single penny from your money. I was raised that way and I can never change. I will never touch your money. You can ask about me. I have that reputation. I have a lot of friends that are like that will never touch your money. But I can't guarantee or say so about a woman, right? Now, it does not mean that they are bad people. People are good in businesses. People are good in other affairs. But just because they're actually dating you and then they at the end of it, they go ahead and then sleep with somebody else, then you say, they're bad people. They're the worst kind of human being in the world. Oh my goodness! For goodness sake. Just simply because they could not live to an ideal that they themselves did not create. A system that was not even invented by them. A system that in truth is not even inherently biological to them. we need to start talking about the discontent and the ills and the downside of monogamy and become very honest in these conversations. As much as we try to color these things, every single time people are not honest with it. I hate the fact that people are not honest in the conversation of monogamy. People do not sit down and say, it's human nature. It is not easy. The system itself is unfair. People don't say these things. People are not honest in these conversations. However, they don't care. They expect you to live by this ideal. In fact, they use different rhetorics and they try to use different ways to try to lure you and make you succumb to these things. And at the end of the day, when you break off, then you become a bad guy. You are not a bad guy, I'm telling you for real. Monogamy is the bad guy here. And I'm serious. So here I am today. I'm saying I hate monogamy so much. Honestly, I hate monogamy. I don't like monogamy for anything. Because monogamy is constricting, selfish, demanding, unrealistic, ownership-oriented, monopolistic, confining, constraining. It is even claustrophobic. I had to look for all of these ways because I had to actually express my hate. My hate in the purest and honest form. I hate monogamy. Yeah.